Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Sight and Sinnoh, the Diamond and Pearl anime podcast focusing on our heroes Ash, Dawn, and Brock as they journey through the Sinnoh region. And we are journeying even closer ever yet to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl coming out later this year. This week I'm joined once again by Manny. How's it going?
That's right, I'm back. Don't call it a comeback.
Oh.
I've been here for a week.
Did you do any
Well,
standing up and sitting down?
I definitely did because my legs get tired from sitting down every once in a while. But,
Nice, nice.
you know, getting some inspiration from Zoey, sitting down most of this episode and only standing up when she needs to look cool.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get some street cred,
Right.
outside
Exactly.
of my porch and standing up when little kids come and try to touch my cats. Like, nope, go away, little kids.
Go away.
Yeah, I got that Zoe vibe on me.
Nice, nice. Yeah, Zoey is an interesting character in this episode. For a few reasons, but we'll get into that shortly. Because today we are covering Diamond and Pearl, episode 41, titled "A Stand-Up Sit Down," which, it's all right. It's like very tangentially related to the plot, but we'll get there in a second as I read the blurb first. Dawn's latest training session is interrupted by Glameow and a Misdreavus that seem to be asking for help, and it's a safe bet that those Pokemon must belong to Zoey. Sure enough, the two Pokemon lead Dawn and their friends to Zoey, who's fallen and sprained her foot. Is there a cold open this episode? Because I do not remember.
Yes, the cold open was what we will get into later, the double battle between Dawn and Ash.
Right. Oh, yes, you're right. I remember that now.
And this was one of the more tolerable cold opens for me. Yeah, I think it flowed nicely.
And here it kind of starts off with these two Pokemon kind of out of nowhere just walking around the forest and looking very concerned as they meet up with one another, and then see on the other side of the forest there is Dawn and her friends doing some training. So they come running up to them, and Dawn seems to recognize them but isn't sure, and then they talk to Pikachu and Piplup, which causes everyone to follow them as they go running off towards a big boulder, which is hiding Zoey from view as she's on the floor with what looks like an injured ankle and her new Pokemon Shellos.
They used to call it Shellos, but I guess it's correctly named Shellos.
There we go. We learned that today.
And what I will say is I do remember back in our first introduction to Zoe, our friends Brady and Karina were a bit on the fence of her. Didn't know they should like her or not, and it's understandable because the way she comes out in the dub, because when she sees Dawn, she's like, "Oh, hey Dawn," like it sounds like, if anybody here, why her? But what's interesting is in the sub, she's more shocked to see her. She's like, "Oh, Dawn, at you?"
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right away, right off the bat, she's definitely more nurturing towards Dawn, as she is, and in the English version. But she still makes that comment, like, that Dawn's very talkative, in her word.
Dawn is kind of offended, but tries to help Zoe by looking for medicine in her bag, and only finds snacks and drinks, and is very much disappointed in herself.
Which, you know what? To be fair, I was expecting her to pull out like at least makeup or a hairbrush, but
Oh, that'd be funny here.
it's good to know she's at least eating something while they're on the road.
Yeah, that's funny. Right, because we've seen her like try to take care of her hair and do that before. But no, she's actually just got her munchies with her, and then Brock is like, "Don't worry, I can help because I have Pokemon medicine and human medicine," and he steps in there to help Zoe out after dramatically pulling out his materials.
Yeah, and we get praise from Don saying, "Who needs Pokemon centers when we have Brock?"
Right, and then Brock's like, agreeing, and then's like, no, wait, no Pokemon centers means no shores.
Yeah,
Ah! It just starts freaking
yeah,
out, and so he's like, oh man, I prefer Dawn talking.
yeah. That which is a very funny joke as well. She's like, "Yeah, I prefer it for it to be her now."
hmm So it works out in the end. And he sprays something on her ankle and then puts a bandage on it, but it looks like she still has trouble walking, so they are able to assist her in getting to her campsite, which she had set up. And there's a nice chair for her to sit in, which is good. So that way she has some back support and her leg can be stretched, so she's not just all like cramped up behind this boulder. She apparently got injured while training and tripped
Yes,
over something.
as always, we must question things. Must question logic. Where does she keep the table, the laptop,
Oh my
the
gosh.
chair, and her tent?
Jeez. That's a good question.
I saw no backpack on the floor. I saw no vehicle.
And at the end of the episode, we see her with just like a small bag.
Yeah, where did the stuff go? Did she just
She left
were
it.
they rentals?
That's funny. I guess. Uh, she's leaving her deposit everywhere though, if that's how she travels.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
maybe she
very good observation, Manny. But
have the keen eye ability.
oh, I see. That totally makes sense. But apparently, Dawn is lacking any sight-based ability because she is completely thrown off by the fact that Zoe mentions that it's going to be a double performance at Hearthome, and she's like, "Of course you don't know,"
Yeah,
and
and
tells her like, "Hey, you could at least check the website," which I thought was hilarious because this is in 2007 and she's already being sassed for not using the internet.
but more importantly, why didn't her mom tell her?
I don't think she would. Well, do you think
Unless
that?
this was because he does go on to say that Grand Festival was also a double performance.
That is true.
Yeah, no, my question is why didn't her mom tell her about double performances?
Yeah, that is a good point because Dawn seems to know a decent amount about contests already, but apparently double performances just didn't come up unless they're a new thing that didn't happen when her mom was a coordinator.
Yeah, which is my assumption as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was just I noticed right away. Is like, how did she not know?
Right.
So unless they were fairly introduced, and I mean because it's a cartoon. I mean obviously it's just so that the show can explain to us, the audience, what double performances are.
Exactly, right.
But because everything must be answered by logic, I had just had to ask.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So I thought you were asking maybe if like Hearthome City always had a double contest. So like if they do, then her mom would have known to tell her, but that doesn't seem to be the case. At least we don't get any evidence one way or the other. And this is where, as you mentioned earlier, Zoe pulls out the laptop to show a video from the Pokemon contest website, giving an example of a coordinator doing a double performance. And it's a very interesting cameo that you teased that earlier.
Yeah, Marina from Pokemon Chronicles.
Yes.
Name of the series. Yes.
And if people who aren't familiar, Pokemon Chronicles is a side series that still happens in the same world as Ash and his Pokemon journey, but it focuses on trainers that are actually either more related to the games or are friends that he's made along the way. And this is an instance where he has never met Marina. No one in the main series has actually met Marina and some of her friends, such as Johnny, I believe. But she's kind of the original counterpart to Crystal from the Johto region.
Yes, correct. Yeah, this is, I think, her official main series debut. Again, as Will said, if people are interested, Pokemon Chronicles pretty much like a side series,
Hmm.
and I think the first 3 episodes include Marina.
Yes, there is an arc with her in it pretty heavily. There's also some, I think, with Brock, Misty,
Yeah,
and
Brock Misty,
Tracy, which is really nice. I think
Team Rocket
Richie.
episode as well.
Oh yes, we get some Team Rocket backstory, and actually, Marina has appeared before in this very season.
Yeah, but it was more of a cameo, than an
Right.
actual.
I mean, technically, this one's also a cameo, but
Yeah,
that other one is more of a still
yeah,
like a very, very cameo, I guess, because
yeah. She was there in an ad for the Poketch.
yes, she's a model, presumably for the Poketch, which
Mhm.
again calls into question what happens with coordinators later in life, because we see that she's a coordinator and she's also a model, so maybe that led to her success and getting her modeling career started.
Not only that, but it proves my theory that Dawn's mom also had success after.
Right, like what did she do after contests? Was she a model? Was she some kind of performer?
Probably started in action movies and never told Dawn about it.
She has a whole secret life on the big screen Dawn never
Yeah.
knows about. But yes, so we see Marina here pulling out her Feraligatr, which kind of shows that her first starter was Totodile from Johto, and a Jigglypuff that used a combination of Aqua Tail and Psychic to give a double performance.
Yeah, and do you want to know what she names her alligator in the sub?
Ooh, what is it?
She names it Wani Wani. That's her nickname for her alligator.
Nice. Interesting.
Wani Wani. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wani Wani is actually the English name also.
Oh, the Japanese name?
No, well, also in the
Oh,
English
you're right.
dub,
Yes.
it's also
Yes, yes,
called Wani Wani. So she's one of those trainers who nicknames her Pokemon, obviously. And you know what's also funny? She also has one other notable Pokemon, and it is a Mischievous called Little Miss. So it's not shown in this episode, but
Yeah.
we see that she has a Mischievous and Zoey also has a Mischievous. So I wonder if Zoey is maybe a fan of her because of that.
It could be because she's presented as a top coordinator.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
very possible that she's maybe a role model for her.
Yeah, that could definitely be a possibility.
But with the help of her Jigglypuff and Feraligatr, she does a great example of a double performance that was recorded for the website. One small detail there is that Marina is not wearing a dress or what looks like to be an outfit for Pokemon contests in Sinnoh, so maybe she's competing in Johto, Hoenn, or Kanto in that video.
Yeah, that was one of my guesses as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because I immediately thought Johto because I remember May going to Johto.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So yeah, for me that was and not only that, well, because her starter is a Johto Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. She could have just stayed in Johto after we saw her in Chronicles, so very fair guess there. But this does make Dawn a bit nervous because she's like, oh, I wasn't preparing for this. And Zoey just lists out some examples of things that she has to keep in mind, such as like, does she show both her Pokemon at once? Does she do one at a time? How does she pick the ball capsules? How do they pose together? And gives an example using her Glameow and Shellos, which do a combination of Mud Bomb followed by Shockwave and then a Hidden Power to bring it all together.
Yeah, at first I wasn't really impressed with the Mud Bomb and the Shockwave. Then after seeing what the Hidden Power did,
Right.
I was blown away. If I would have been a judge, I would have given it a 10. But we do also learn before that there could be one separate team for the performance and another separate team for the battle.
Which works out nicely because Dawn just got her fourth Pokemon.
Yes, and how convenient that she has 4 Pokemon upon learning about the double performances.
Exactly. But Dawn seems really nervous about it, but Zoe
Yeah,
offers to help her. Um, so in this moment, it almost feels like Dawn is going a little bit back to square one as a coordinator.
she's letting the nerves to her.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah. But it is nice that she does have the motivation to start practicing there in front of Zoe, and she she brings out a paper that she's written down the list of the combinations that she'll use, or like specifically the pairings. But
Yeah.
it's only Piplup Pachirisu in set A and Baniri and Weasel in set B, and somehow she has this huge paper for this.
And I have a bone to pick with you, Will,
Oh,
because
okay.
Weasel is probably one of my favorite Sinnoh Pokemon.
Uh
You did not have me review the introduction
huh.
of Weasel.
Oh
Oh,
man. Ooh,
should I go for
well,
you, Will?
we'll get there. I did not know this.
Based on design alone,
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Weasel's person. And to introduce it to the Shellos, because Zoe mentioned that she caught it the same spot. I thought of, and I don't know if you know this character, but I thought of Katsuki Bakugo from My Hero
Oh
Academia.
yeah.
That pridefulness that they both had, like right away, I was like, oh, that's Bakugo. I love that the anime gives us different personalities for each Pokemon.
And the orange theming,
But yeah,
they
yeah,
also
that
have in
too.
common.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah,
Very explosive too, so I can see it.
yeah,
I see what you're going for there. Weasel immediately is scolded by Dawn for scaring this poor little Shellos who's tiny.
yeah. And then
Uh,
Flip comes in as well to kind of
yes,
scold.
get it together.
Yeah.
And Dawn goes back to training where she starts off with Pachirisu and Piplup and tries doing I think a Sweet Kiss Whirlpool combination that doesn't seem to work. But then she uses Discharge in the Whirlpool and it's a bit too powerful and it's just a mess there. Like she shocks herself, she makes the Whirlpool explode into steam, and Zoe mentions you have to also keep in mind the balance that you have in terms of power with these moves.
Yeah, and that shockwave was more her reacting nervously, like she panicked because
Oh,
of
right, for the discharge, yeah.
yes, what happened. And personally, I when I saw that, my first thought was, why didn't she use Whirlpool first?
Mm-hmm.
Have the Sweet Kiss wrap around the Whirlpool,
Yes, that'd be
and
nice.
maybe go in and then spurt out like a fountain.
Right, like
I like,
decorating
yeah,
it.
I like that she didn't get it on the first try.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really nice to see her grow like that. That she
Yes.
tries, but she's still not getting it at first.
Yeah, and it just goes again to this whole thing that I said of where in the sub she's portrayed not only just a main character but the main character of this specific series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very cool that, just because her mom is very experienced doesn't mean that she's gonna get everything like, right off the bat. She has to struggle
Exactly.
and grow from it.
Like raw talent can only take you so far.
Yeah.
And here she decides to switch it up after some encouragement and instead focus on battling, which she does with Pikachu and Apom on Ash's side versus Herbuizel and
Mhm.
Baniri, where Ash starts off using Swift to wrap around Pikachu as it goes in for a quick attack, which I thought was a actually surprisingly good combo for Ash.
Yeah, definitely. Visually, it looked very stunning. I
Mm-hmm.
think if they wouldn't have used a 3D Swift, probably wouldn't have looked as
Oh
beautiful
no.
as it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a really cool visual to see.
But Dawn sees that Apom is now totally undefended, so she has Weasel and Baniri dodge, and Weasel goes in for Aqua Jet, and Baniri goes in for Ice Beam, as Dawn tries a unique little strategy here with an Ice Aqua Jet. But what happens is Weasel loses control and the Aqua Jet falls to the ground, and it kind of just somersaults its way into Apom, tossing them both into the water behind them. And this is
Yeah.
the cold open for the episode.
Yes. Again, another attempt that wasn't gotten right away on the first try.
Mm-hmm.
Again, showing us, that Dawn definitely has a long way to go, just in terms of getting her act together, but building that bond and that trust with her Pokemon.
Right.
And also a test for Weasel and Baniri to trust each other as well.
Right, like Weasel and Baniri aren't mad at each other or at Dawn, which I thought was kind of nice. That it wasn't immediately like, oh, we have to restart this relationship because they continue with the battle. Weasel actually uses Sonic Boom in the water to boost it a little bit and hit Apom.
Yeah.
But the battle keeps going, and Baniri gets knocked out with a Focus Punch. Pikachu provided cover for Baniri, and then it's down to a Pikachu Volt Tackle and Aqua Jet Weasel, with which both collide into a big explosion. But Weasel is knocked out, and Dawn loses. But she explains how she actually did have an idea for using Ice Aqua Jet, but it just didn't turn out the way that she imagined.
Get to see how prideful Weasel is in itself,
Mm-hmm.
because it still wanted to keep battling. And after fainting, you see everybody's regrouping. Weasel is kind of sulking by itself. Not really upset, but more like I can do better next time.
Right, because we did have a whole little arc of Weasel being upset about losing, but it looks like this time he's a bit more open to the idea of accepting loss. It's still encouraged to practice the move because now she goes on with encouragement from her friends to actually develop that idea a little further. So she starts practicing Ice Aqua Jet with Weasel and Baniri, and they are able to kind of get the first image of what she had imagined, but not quite land the move itself. And in the middle of this training, we actually get interrupted by Jesselina, who is, of course, a Jessie and Team Rocket in disguise. And did you expect Team Rocket to come in like this?
You telling me that that's Jesse?
Oh man, sorry, I just spoiled it for you.
I didn't know. I had no idea. No, they also don't use their motto as well
Mm-hmm.
because of what happens. It definitely was different in terms of pacing. And
Right, because we've seen this persona
mhm.
at the different contests that we've been a part of already. Jesse's actually continually using this for her contest debuts. But it's interesting that she chooses to approach the situation in this way. Because we get like a weird minute where she wants to steal Shellos for some reason and it's not really explained. And then they just throw her away to do this confrontation as Jesselina, where she comes up to Dawn and tells her like, "Oh, you're like not as good as me," basically, and just kind of talks down to her until she challenges her. But Zoey actually usurps this situation and says that she'll battle Jesselina in a double battle, which totally throws the plan out of whack for Team Rocket.
Definitely. And in the sub, she's known as her alias is Candy Mussolina.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and the Mussolina comes from her name, which the last episode I was in, we found out was Musashi. So
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, definitely more creative in terms of the names.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said before, we get to see that Zoe's very protective of Dawn, even though she doesn't act like it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason she steps up is because she didn't like seeing Dawn being put down, because
Right.
she saw throughout. We don't know like the time period between the training and the battling to when Selena comes up to her, but Zoe was there the entire day watching Dawn practice.
Right.
We can tell that she knows how good Dawn is, so she
Mm-hmm.
definitely took offense seeing a rival being put down.
Mm-hmm. Zoey isn't a fan of bullies and steps up to them.
Even though she might kind of is the line there with Dawn.
Yeah, she teases Dawn a bit for sure. Jesselina is happy to take the challenge. She sends out Dustox and Seviper to do a Poison Tail, Poison Sting combination. And Shellos and Glameour are able to easily deflect it. And this pretty much is the whole battle of just Jesselina getting overshadowed by Zoey and her superior skills. And some interesting combinations that happen here include a Blizzard Shadow Claw, actually.
Yeah, that was very cool to see.
Yeah, so we see Shellos use Blizzard to grab Lamio's Shokan, and it does a really interesting combination as it just crashes into the ground.
Yes. And I liked the combination of the Viper's Poison Tail with the Poison Sting.
I thought that was kind of lame, actually. Not gonna
Really?
lie. Yeah, because the way I see it is just they make the Poison Sting's needles spin, and I get that's supposed to make them more powerful as it moves them faster to the target. But I was like, it's all right.
Okay, that's very interesting. Well, I mean that I think that's my reasoning for liking it. The way they displayed it added that strength to the Poison Needle.
Yeah, it's just not very flashy. I get that that's not always a good sign, but that's kind of what I like seeing in combinations. So to me, that's why I would rate a little lower in terms of preference.
Okay, so question: if you were, let's see, what's an alias for Will?
Wilhelm?
Yes, say it again because I can't pronounce it. If you were a coordinator and you had Viper and Cacnea, what combinations would you...
So Viper and Tox?
Oh, my bad. Yes, so Viper and Tox. If those were your Pokemon, what combination do you think you would use?
I would use a combination of Haze and Psychic, or Confusion, which it learns naturally, to create a smoke cloud that looks like a big Viper or a big Dustox.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. Okay. All right. Will has some skills.
You know, okay. I've thought too much about myself in this anime, so I'm gonna put that to use.
There you go, listeners. Will, if you have any Pokemon contests in your town, make sure you let Will know.
Yeah,
he can go collect himself some ribbons.
I'll be there, but Jesselina might not be, because this battle ends with Glameow just knocking our Pokemon back and knocking Jesselina out. And Zoey, being ruthless, is like, "Do you want to keep going?"
Yeah, she wanted the smoke.
Yeah, and Team Rocket is like, "Oh, no, we're fine," and just run off into the forest, holding unconscious Jesselina, which I thought was great.
I'm surprised they didn't ask politely to be blasted away. But yeah, we see them running away, stretching out Jesselina.
Right. We continue to keep the cover of who Jesselina actually is.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Which I think is right. Which I think is like the takeaway here, and a theme for the rest of the series. Very interesting. Just ending that kind of just concludes and shows Dawn of what she can do with the potential of her Pokemon, and gives an idea of what we can expect moving forward. For her next competition. It ends in a very kind of logical place, I guess, not super progressive of the plot necessarily. But we do see Zoey at the end at the Pokemon Center, where they let her kind of recover and rest as they continue on their journey. And Zoey here wishes Dawn luck with her Ice Aqua Jet combination.
And also wishes Ash luck with his next gym battle. And doesn't say nothing to Brock.
Brock is the one who's like, "All right, we gotta get going."
I know, right? She didn't even say "Hey, thanks for healing my leg."
I think maybe she does. I can't remember, but it's definitely not her most genuine wishing of luck there, basically. So that pretty much wraps up this episode, titled "A Stand-Up Sit-Down," episode 41 of Diamond and Pearl. Manny, what would you rate this episode?
Probably give it a 6.
Okay.
And this was another good episode for me in terms of viewing. I don't think anything will ever top the Suicune episode as the worst
Oh
episode,
my. Okay, good.
but I could be wrong. We don't know. Yeah, just another very enjoyable show. A very good introduction to what's coming later on in the future, which is double performances and double battles,
Mm-hmm.
and just more of a challenge for Dawn to overcome in her journey of becoming a coordinator. And I liked a line that she used, which was "Tough rivals are meant to be beaten." I think that
Mm.
was a good line for her, and it's also motivation for her. And you can tell that she looks up to Zoe as well as a
Right.
coordinator.
Exactly. I liked it. It was a cool introduction of double battles. We get to see a preview of what Dawn might be working on, but
Mhm.
it did feel a little anticlimactic. It was kind of nice to see Zoe and Jesselina duke it out, but I would have liked to see maybe a bit more development on Dawn's part because we get the very beginning, but then it's kind of taken over in terms of plot by Jesselina. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, that was one thing that kind of docked points for me. But overall, a solid episode. Another one that is probably good for you to watch if you're following Dawn's journey specifically. So still worth checking out.
Yeah, and before kind of sign off, I wanted to ask back in the review for the first contest. You had said that the outfit Dawn uses is the outfit she'll keep using throughout the entire series. Is that correct?
Think for most of it there is some special moments that I don't want to spoil, but generally she'll do like some changes to her hair, but for the most part it'll be just that outfit.
Really? Okay, that's interesting because the ending, the Japanese version, was her in something completely different.
Ending of this episode?
Yeah, because you know how typically animes have an opening song and they have an ending song.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon just tends to go to the credits in the English version.
Yep.
The Japanese version has like an ending song and it shows like pictures and scenes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene of Dawn wearing different dress.
Yes, and I think I know where that is, but that will actually come up more in the following season. So if you're interested, I would check that out. But we are still a few ways away from that. But if you are interested in looking that up and seeing where this fashion sense of Dawn leads her, feel free to check out Pokemon TV for all the latest episodes that they have posted across a variety of seasons, as well as different movies. It's an official place for you to check out the series, so feel free to do that when you get a chance. And as always, we've been Sights on Sinnoh. This has been episode 24. Manny, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yes, and once again, I bring poetry by Professor Oak.
Ooh, okay.
Whose first name I can never remember. Is he Samson or Samuel? He's Samuel, right?
Samuel, yeah.
Okay, Samson is the Alolan one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Today's poem features Pokemon. Reminds me of Katsuki Bakugo.
Oh my.
Professor Oak says, Weasel shows off its power in the water.
Oh, beautiful.
There you go. Words to live by.
Oh my
Write that on your wall.
gosh.
To it if you have to. Very inspirational words.
You know, Professor Oak, I'm glad you are a professor more than anything else.
Yes, because he is a very horrible photo critic and an even worse poet.
Oh, geez. He just wanted to, get the arts side of his needs out of the way, apparently.
Yeah. I will never forgive him for not letting me ride bikes indoors, saying it's not time for that. It's always the time for that, Professor Oak.
Yeah. And as always, it is time for us to wrap up here, but subscribe if you'd like to see the next time we have an episode out. I believe the next set will cover episodes 42 and 43 of Diamond and Pearl. As always, I've been Will.
This is Manny.
And we'll see you in Sinnoh. Till then, bye.